Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope the weather's better for you wherever you are than it is for me. It's a dreary day outside. Perfect day, though, to spend the morning in the arcade and get things done. Um, I have a couple of, this is episode 2 of my little podcast, Crossdeck. And I have a few topics I want to discuss. First, I think I want to talk about Wonka. If you haven't seen the new Wonka movie with Timothy Chalamet in the lead role, in the title role, I I really strongly suggest you go see it. And that's coming from a man who grew up watching annual airings of Gene Wilder's version or Gene Wilder's movie uh, every year, pretty much into my adulthood. So uh, this movie is a prequel. It describes and documents how Wonka came to be the chocolatier that he was. It's an earlier version of the character Wonka, and it's a great story. It's wonderfully acted. I think Timothy is brilliant in this role. I think the other supporting actors that he had around him were great. Hugh Grant was hilarious as a Oompa Loompa. But it's a good story, and I think there's a lot of YouTube chatter out there uh, going around about how this movie is tanking at the box office. Well, if you read the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, I know sometimes they get review bombed, but if you read through them, the word of mouth on this thing is going to be incredible, and I think the box office is actually going to improve. I think it's going to do really well this weekend for with an opening number, but I think next weekend is going to be the 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 tell all about what kind of legs this movie is going to have at the box office. And I think it's actually, it being Christmas weekend, I think as word of mouth spreads this week to families and other people, that I think as word of mouth spreads on this movie, I think it's really going to take off, and next weekend is going to be really great for this movie. Again, great movie, great musical score with it. It's a musical. Again, the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was also a musical, so there should be no surprise here that was what the intention of making this movie was. But the first 2 acts of the movie are really magical and whimsical is a good word for it. It kind of gets, in the third act, it kind of gets more dramatic and goes down the road of corporate espionage. But it's still the theme of the movie plays through across all 3 acts. And again, the music's great, the acting's great. It was great seeing the guy from Downton Abbey in there in a role. He's a great actor. I forget his name. But I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I hope you guys are having a good Christmas season. It's 7 more shopping days before Christmas hits us, and I hope you all have your shopping done. If you haven't, if you're like me and you wait until the last minute, I've gotten better at that. I actually bought all my stuff off Amazon this year, so my shopping is pretty much done. But wherever you are, I hope that your weekend is going great. And so let's talk about the arcade and where I'm at. And just want to say good morning to Real Mofio. I don't have my glasses on. I hope I didn't butcher that. But good morning. Thanks for joining me. If you like what you see, hit the like button and subscribe. Greatly appreciated. I'm just a small person on YouTube. I don't even call myself a YouTuber because I just started in this game. I love to play with toys, so I got me a streaming kit, a streaming setup, and I'm just going to throw stuff together. If people want to watch it, great. I'd like to learn about how to become a better podcaster slash YouTuber. So with each passing episode that I do here, I hope it gets better for you. I hope you appreciate it, and I hope you'll like and subscribe. So I've mentioned before, I think I mentioned it last week, but I have such a horrendous schedule. I described the day for you. Basically, I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning every day and work out. I go to work. After work, it's dinner with the gal and I, and then we go to bed early. We go to bed between 7 and 8 o'clock, and so my day repeats. So during the week, my time down here is very little. I do have 2 days that I work from home, so yeah, I do get to spend breaks and lunch breaks down here, but not as often as I'd wish. And I have projects that I want to do. I have Glenn's Build-A-Cade sitting at my feet right now that I bought weeks ago, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I have all the artwork for it. I have the Raspberry Pi for it. Just haven't gotten to it. But my main focus right now is on the T2, which you still see behind me. It's still looking like T2. I haven't started on it yet. I'm hoping today that I'll actually officially start. I'll have some time after this episode, and I'll shoot some content for a video. I'll shoot some scenes for a video that I'm going to throw together of the entire mod process. So my goal today with that T2 mod is to at least get the decals applied to the riser. So that's my goal. I do need, this is the area that I have to use. If you look at the space behind me, there's really, really not much space. Bring up all my cameras here, but there's no space in here anymore to do anything. The center space in here and the shots in there, there was no arcades there. So I had plenty of space to work, to build, but I filled it out. And that's a problem a lot of people have. Where do I do all this stuff? Well, I decided to carve a little bit more space out of my basement. If you'd have seen this area right here, if you'd have seen that area just a week ago, there's a lot of trash and garbage there. I mean, not actual trash and garbage, just stuff that I'd thrown there. You know how people in their basements, they just throw stuff there with the intention of getting around to doing something with it at some point. Well, guess what? I never did anything with anything there. So into the garbage, a lot of it went. And I built out this little space, and it's just outside of the arcade itself. The arcade is in a 1/4 area of the basement, off to the right of this picture. But I built those partitions. I was able to clear all this out and build those partitions during the week last week. So I did accomplish a little bit, but I plan on setting up some lighting and some and a camera. I'll probably shoot strictly with my camera phone, but so I'm hoping to get all this set up today, all the lighting in place today, do some test shots to make sure I'm getting the angle that I want to get to capture it for the future video. But I want to get started on this. I'm anxious to get started on this. And what's going to help is I'm actually off the entire week between Christmas and New Year's. So I got plenty of time, no excuses to get down here and work on that. So looking forward to it. I know a lot of people, Buy Stuff themselves are really looking forward to seeing this completed because it's marketing for them. And I don't know if anybody else bought the Space Invaders skin like I did. So they want to see it out there in use. as an example of some of their products. So I want to do that for them and for you guys, and just get it out there so that it's available for everybody to see. I'm not the best video editor, but I do plan to shoot video a little at a time as I'm progressing through this, and put it and slice and dice it all together. And I use DaVinci for my video editing, and it's a pretty easy tool. So yeah, that's the update on T2. Sorry, when I talk a lot, my throat gets really dry. And this is I keep my basement dry with a dehumidifier, which is actually running in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but so the main topic that I wanted to cover, and I want to try and keep these little podcasts for now down to 30 minutes. Last week I went long. It went over an hour, but I'm going to try and get through this topic as quickly as possible because I want to keep this to 30 minutes. I think that's a good starting point for these podcasts. Answering a question in the chat, I've watched some content from people this past week, and with that Fast and Furious on sale, I have really started to get that FOMO, and that's a problem with me. I was one of the lucky ones that got the Killer Instinct cabinet for $150, and I did it because it was such a great deal. Well, and this ties into the topic that I'm going to get into here in a second, but I had zero nostalgia for Killer Instinct. I realized there's a lot of people out there that grew up with that game and love that game and are great at that game. I sucked at it. I had no nostalgia for it, so I let it go. I sold it to find other cabinets that meant more to me. So Fast and Furious, I think I said it in a forum post. I left a comment on one of the posts in one of the groups. I think I said if it ever got down to a fire sale at $199, I'd probably buy it. Having a second driving cab, I already have Ridge Racer. And I understand that, all the issues that came with Fast and Furious, but I have no nostalgia for that game either. It came out after my peak arcade period ended, and I had gone into the Navy and spent some time in the Navy. Then I came out of the Navy and went to work into the workforce, and I never in the 90s. I'm an 80s arcade guy, maybe a little bit into the 90s, but when I got into the 90s, I just didn't. Arcades seemed to have died off, or they evolved into something different than I was really interested in. So, Fast and the Furious, yes, I do love a deal. I'm kind of like Biggie D in that I kind of wait and wait and wait. The only cabinet I paid full price for that, actually there's a few, the Star Wars and the Pac-Man XL, I think I paid full price for. The Star Wars, because I picked that up at a time when Star Wars was supposedly rare. You couldn't get it anywhere. And I did pay a premium price for Burger Time as well, a damaged Burger Time at that. But yeah, I love a good deal. And this week, I check the websites every day, like a lot of people in this hobby. I think this week is going to get interesting. I don't know if there's going to be any fire sales, but you'll remember NFL Blitz right up until Christmas Eve. Sam's Club had that really awesome deal. I mean, we're talking low 200s for that cabinet. I know this because I drove up to Appleton, Wisconsin, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from me in a snowstorm, mind you, on Christmas Actually, it was December 23rd. It was the day before Christmas Eve. And let me tell you, I avoided a multi-car accident coming back because the highway was on whiteout conditions with an NFL blitz sitting right next to me in a Jeep. So you want to talk about how I love a deal. Yeah, I almost killed myself over that deal. That was not fun driving. And to boot, I found out my right rear tire was down to 17 pounds of air pressure. Well, that was that was a pucker moment when I got, because my low tire thing had come on. And I'm like, well, it's only just a pound or two. But when I got to an air pressure station, it told me it was at 17. And I remember that day was super cold. So I was really worried about how air hoses freeze during the winter and they malfunction. But this thing told me I was down to 17 pounds of air pressure. Whoa, Nelly. Yeah. And that's with an NFL blitz and me. And if that tire had gone on the highway in a snowstorm, I'd have been up a creek. So, yeah, I do love a good deal. So the topic I want to talk about today is nostalgia. It's a topic that's discussed quite a bit amongst YouTubers in this space. And, we always talk about when these sales come. Well, one of the first questions people ask themselves, do I have any nostalgia for that cabinet? I'm getting better at it. Like I said, I snapped up that Killer Instinct deal. I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have let somebody else who really wanted that cabinet. I will say this, because I know people are going to wonder how much I sold it for. I sold that Killer Instinct for the same amount I paid for it, $150. So I know that there's a lot of people that like to capitalize on that and charge double what they paid for it when they got on a fire sale. But I didn't do that. I just sold it for what I paid for it. And I tend to do that for all the cabs I sell, unless it's, I bounce it off of what the current price is, and then I'll lower it a little bit just so people will be more interested. But nostalgia for me is, does that cabinet or game evoke feelings of great memories? As a 80s arcade person, I have warm memories of spending Friday and Saturday nights cruising around, hitting several arcades. And ironically, one of those arcade names was the Crossdeck Arcade. It was a big pool hall plus an arcade, and we hung out there on Fridays and Saturdays. We hung out at the putt-putt golf course that had a big arcade in it at the time. Midway opened an arcade out by a mall. We hit that up every once in a while. It had like 20 Trons in it, because Tron had just come out at that point. So I just have fond memories. So when I go to make an arcade purchase now, and as I go through the cabinets, I'll explain. But when I pick up a cabinet, the first question I ask is does that arcade evoke those memories for me? If it doesn't, and if it's on sale, and if it has great artwork, I'll get it. Case in point, the Yoga Flame over there. With the sale that was going on currently for that cabinet, I love the artwork on it. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for it. Don't have any, really. But it's a fun game. I spent like 2 hours on that game a week ago. And it's fun. The games on there are fun. So I'm glad it's a part of the arcade now. But what I want to do is, I just realized I still had my T2 area up here. What I want to do is go through in least nostalgic to most nostalgic of the cabinets I have in my arcade. And I'll talk a little bit about each one. I don't want to go into great detail, but I would tell you why I would try to answer the question why that cabinet makes me nostalgic, or if it even does. Some of these don't, but they're still a part of my arcade because I just had to add it. And the first one is going to be a good example of not having any nostalgia, but I had to have it because I'm a tinkerer and I love doing mods. So let's bring that up right now. So there's now this is the least nostalgic in my arcade, the Marvel Superheroes Countercade. I never played that game in the arcade once, ever. But the reason I got it is because that Team Encoder mod came out, and then the community provided image, and it made this countercade into something that was more than what I purchased it for. So you got your 6-button layout, 2 players, and with the mod, that cabinet just has a lot of value. Now, as far as artwork's concerned, I have no nostalgia for it. I think it's pretty. It's a great looking little cabinet, great color scheme. And if I had a chance to get the full size cabinet on a deal, I might just add it because of the blue. I like the color scheme. Making this arcade nostalgic for me is not just the games, it's the artwork. Does the cabinet look good? Does it look good in my arcade? All that's important to me. I realize some people, it's the gameplay. It's only the gameplay. They don't care about the cabinet. A lot of multicade people will insist, you can play that game on a multicade. Why do you need a separate cabinet for it? Well, I like the artwork, and I like building an area that reminds me of spending time in an arcade. And that's what this place does for me. So yeah, Marvel Superheroes Countercade, that's in last place. And the next one is my Legends Pinball. I have zero nostalgia for any pinball. I'm not a pinball person, but I thought, well, I'll add some pinball, and to make this one fun, I reskinned it with a Metallica skin with artwork from Buy Stuff Arcades. And by the way, that company is awesome. I don't work for them. They don't pay me anything. They don't send me anything for free. I just love what that company's doing. So no nostalgia for pinball. So this one comes in 19th. I play it. I have fun playing the games, but playing pinball does not evoke nostalgia for me. I do like the look of the cabinet now since I did that artwork. You should have seen the artwork that it came with. It almost made me vomit. It was so bad. Yeah, I can totally see that artwork. I got to learn how to do this. Add comments to the screen. I'm learning this. I'm a 58-year-old dude, IT dude that loves to learn new things. So this whole podcasting thing is quite a challenge, and I'm getting there. So yes, artwork is important in everything. That Pac-Mania cabinet deal that's going on, I keep coming back to it, but I have so many cabinets that have Pac-Man games on it. I don't have any nostalgia for the Pac-Mania artwork. So that's why I haven't really hesitated in not picking it up, but I could see where somebody does, like yourself. I can totally see it. Not everybody has the same level of nostalgia for some of these cabs that I do. So yeah, digital pinball. I have a little bit higher nostalgia for Star Wars pinball. Basically because I'm a Star Wars nut. I grew up with the original trilogy. I saw the original Star Wars movie when I was 12 years old, or actually 11 years old, for the first time. And so Star Wars has always evoked some nostalgia. But again, pinball. I did get that Star Wars topper from Hobby Lobby. I had to have it because I thought it would make a great topper. So yeah, that one falls 19th on or 18th on my list. Legends Ultimate, that's not a skinned cabinet that I have any nostalgia for. I could skin it. There are people out there that do artwork for the Legends Ultimate. The only thing I would say about this is its flexibility allows me to experience nostalgia for games that probably will never, ever, ever be put out by like Arcade 1-Up or Numbskull or what's the other company? Again, I have CRS disease. Heck, I got two. There's New Wave Toys. Jesus. CRS disease, people. It's real. But Legends Ultimate, to me, for me, in my opinion, that's a must-have in anybody's home arcade. It's a multicade, and like I said, I can do things with it. That bit LCD alone evokes nostalgia for me because it flips for every game I put on it. So I love it. I come back to it every time I'm in the arcade to play a game that I don't have on any other cabinet. Star Trek being one of those. I have a huge amount of nostalgia for Star Trek. And if Arcade 1-Up ever did that, which they're never going to do, they won't sell that cab. So I don't think they'll ever do it. But at least I can play it, and brings back great memories of sitting in that sit-down console for Star Trek and spinning that spinner. So next on the list, Ridge Racer, zero nostalgia. But I got it when it was on sale, and then I got the buy stuff mod. So a lot of these cabinets that I have in my arcade, I jump on because I know there's a mod coming for it. And Ridge Racer is one of them. I might reskin this at some point. I do want to convert it to a sit-down cabinet. That's on my list, but I'm kind of prioritizing my spending, and that's at the bottom right now. But I do want to do that if the opportunity presents itself. But I love the state of this cabinet today with the buy stuff, with the buy stuff mod. And I have a Logitech speaker system to enhance the speaker system in there. It's just a great cabinet for me. It's my only driving cabinet right now. I realize Fast and Furious is out there. Like I said, if Fast and Furious came down to like $199 ever, I would get it. Next up, coming I think in 16th place. Again, I'm reading off a sheet here, and I may have gotten the numbers out of whack, but in 16th is 15th, the Yoga Flame. Zero nostalgia for any Capcom game on that cabinet, but they're fun. I had a blast. Like I said, I had a blast last week. I love the artwork on this cabinet. I realize Michael B refers to it as the Pizza the Hut cabinet, but for me, I needed to add something red in my arcade, and this cabinet fit the bill perfectly. I just love the color scheme on it. I love the artwork, and the fact that it's a two-player 6-button doesn't hurt, and I can do stuff with it. I have a mod that I'm going to do to it. And you can look that up. It's out there in the ether. But that's coming. That's one of my winter projects. And that's going to turn that cabinet into an even more valuable cabinet in my arcade, even though I have zero nostalgia for it. It's fun, so I'll keep it. And next would be NFL Blitz. Zero nostalgia. But it was a deal. And I drove through a snowstorm to get it. And supposedly there's some mods coming for this. I don't know if that's true. And would I do it? I'm a tinkerer. So if there was a mod to it, I'd probably do it. I did mod it. I did do a hardware mod. You can see it in the picture here. I took the game down from 4-player to 2-player. And that was an adventure because I can't remember exactly where I got that from, but the volume and power buttons I had problems with because the pre-drilled holes for the screws that held them in place were too close to the edge and of the pre-drilled mounts for the volume and power button, and so they stripped out, and I had to take that apart last week, and I hot glued it down, and it seems fine now. A few days that I've turned it on, the power button and the volume button, they aren't sinking into the control panel. Zero nostalgia for it, but it's a fun game. I wasn't playing that in the arcade when it had late hits, so the fact that it didn't have late hits really didn't impact my decision. The price impacted my decision because it was so low. But I do enjoy playing that game. I have fun at it. I've never played against anybody though, because I'm never down here at a time when a lot of people are on. So I never really had that opportunity. Next up, Simpsons. Zero nostalgia, but a fun game. It's a beat 'em up. Who doesn't like beat 'em ups? The bowling game is super easy. Yeah, you can get a 300 several times on it, but it's fun to play. I enjoy it. And again, I got it super cheap. I think I got it for $1.99, and it's moddable. Yes, I have modded it. So I like how versatile it is in that, if there's a known mod for a cabinet and I have zero nostalgia for it, the chances of me picking it up increase. So, if there's a deal on it and it's like $1.99 or below, I'll probably get it, even though I have no nostalgia. Next up, T2, zero nostalgia, fun game. I love playing it. So I thought, well, what if we modded this and reskinned it into something else? And that's why I have the project going that I do. I'm going to make this into my Space Invaders cabinet. I missed out on buying Space Invaders from Arcade 1-Up. From what I hear, I'm not missing anything. So I got the retro shooter kit for it. I got the buy stuff, all the buy stuff integration stuff, the 19-inch monitor replacement, and then the artwork change. So I'm going to do a complete reskin of this cabinet. So stay tuned. Again, I got a deal on it. So deal is the theme. Golden Tea. I have a little bit of nostalgia here for this game. I did play it when it was around, and it was fun. I enjoyed playing it, but the thing with this game is you got to commit. So if you want to do the full 18 rounds of golf, you're sitting on your butt in front of it for an extended period. And I love the look of the cabinet, but would I have added this if it stayed at $6.99? No, this would not be a part of my arcade. It came down to $3.15 though, and I couldn't pass that up. So I have fun with it every once in a while. I get the urge to play some golf, and I'll sit at it. And I love the bowling game on here. The bowling game, light years better than The Simpsons. So little nostalgia here, and it sits right about 12th on my list. So we're creeping upwards into the top 10 now. Pong. I have a lot of nostalgia for this, simply for the fact that we're getting into the interesting games, the ones that have the most nostalgia for me. Pong is the first game I ever played in an arcade setting. Like a lot of people my age, Pong was it. It was fun. It's a very basic game. It's fun to play with somebody else rather than against the computer, and that's why I went with the head-to-head here. The cock, or what do they call it? My mind is just not working today. The other one, the stand-up one, it never came down on sale until very recently, and I already had this one. So this was fun. I sat down at it the other day, and I played some Tempest on it, even though you could see the Atari Legacy sitting right behind it where I could have played Tempest, but I wanted to sit down at this unit and play Tempest. So I did, and I played a game of Pong, and it's for me, it's a great nostalgic addition. I love the artwork on the cabinet. I love the stools that I got with it. So and here we have, coming in at 9th on my list, the Defender Partycade. And I got a deal on this. I forget, it was either QVC or HSN. I can't remember which, one of the two. I got it from one of them, and it was on sale, and I scooped it up. And I realized this cabinet is gone. You can't get it anywhere, and a lot of people are selling this for upwards of $600 now. I think the going rate should be more around $400. Simply for the game selection and the artwork on the cabinet, and the fact that the Defender game has an accurate layout for the buttons. The reason why I love it, and I keep coming back to it, is for the game that's shown on the screen there, Gorf. I have a ton of nostalgia for Gorf. I would love to see Arcade 1-Up do a Gorf cabinet. They could take the Tron cabinet, reskin it as Gorf, put it out, and I'd be happy. But that's probably never going to happen, because I got guys in England telling me from the numbskull community that they never heard of Gorf over there. Wow. So I love that Partycade. And I have it sitting on a shelf that was recommended to me by the community. And so it's the only Partycade I own, and then I'll keep it forever because they're rare now, and the game list is great. I love playing Tapper on this thing too. So next up, Class of 81. I have some nostalgia. I have played this cabinet. I have more nostalgia for the games on the cabinet than I do for the actual cabinet artwork. But I just added it to the arcade recently, within the last week or two, since it was on sale. So I love this cabinet. I think with each cabinet they make, they're getting really good at at producing great marquees. The marquee on this is great. But I have, like I said, I have more nostalgia for the games on it than and I would love to get a Galaga only cabinet, deluxe cabinet. But again, I have so many Pac-Man games that have all that same game list. But the artwork for Galaga, I would love to have a Galaga skin cabinet. So this gives me the best of both worlds. I have a half and half Miss Pac-Man, the other side Galaga. So I suppose if I ever did get a Galaga Deluxe, and I'm guessing they're coming out with a Miss Pac-Man XL next year, I'll probably sell this and go that route. But that one's about number 8 on my list. Tron has a great deal of nostalgia for me. I have fond memories of going to the movie to see the original Tron, and right next to the movie theater was a Bally Midway arcade. And in that Bally Midway, they didn't have any other games other than Bally Midway games. But a whole row of Trons were in there. I mean, it was beautiful. I wish I'd have taken pictures back in the day. But I spent so many quarters because I like to go see movies multiple times. I saw Tron in the theater, oh gosh, 10 times. Hop over the arcade, drop a bunch of quarters in the Tron cabinet. For me, a great game, a hard game, but a great game. And the cabinet artwork was it just popped the nostalgia through the roof for me. So when Arcade 1-Up came out with this cabinet, I'm like, I got to have it. And fortunately, I got this when Dell had them for cheap. Well, it wasn't, considering, I guess it was like in the low 400s, if I remember correctly. It was probably right around $399, $400. I think I got this cabinet from Dell. And then I threw a bunch of mods in it. So you can kind of see some of the mods here. The kick panel artwork and the front LED from Tulsa Arcades on the riser. And then you can't see it here, but I have the S panel mod at the top above the screen playing the MCP in a loop. Next up would be Joust. Again, one of my favorite games in the arcade, but the artwork on here I also loved. I'm not very happy with the button because it's basically a Mortal Kombat button layout. But from an artwork standpoint, I love this cabinet. And the game, tons of nostalgia for it. So I had to have this cabinet when it went on sale, excuse me. Got to replace that monitor because of the washout. And I think I'll be good to go. But I have to take the cabinet apart to do that mod because the screws are up above the speaker grill on this one. So I'm going to have to take it apart to do the monitor mod. Next up would be the Atari Legacy, which is in a Tempest scheme. Tons of nostalgia for both the artwork and the game. I don't know how many quarters I popped. Tempest was a what do they call it? A quarter eater, because you popped a quarter in, you played up to a level, and then you kept popping quarters in to get to the next higher level, to stay at that level. So I could pop in $4 or $5 at a time playing this game just to get as high as I could. A lot of nostalgia for the game. Yes, I have had to replace the control panel because of the encoder issue, but I haven't had a problem since, knock on wood. But I've replaced the marquee with a Joe Zabel marquee. Easy thing to do, and it's 100% improved from the original artwork. I haven't considered doing the mod where you change the placement of the marquee. flush it out like the original Tempest cabinet. Would like to do that someday, but it's very low on my priority list. That Tempest fell number 5 on my list. Dig Dug. Dig Dug is a special game in my history. I actually got a published high score on it. A lot of game nostalgia. The cabinet, I love the artwork on the cabinet. I don't like the marquee. I need to get a replacement marquee for that from Joe Zabo. It's probably next on my mod list. But I love the cabinet. I love the volcano buttons on the control panel. It's high nostalgia for this. And Dig Dug's at number 4. Burger Time, I just picked this up. You'll all remember that I had some damage to the box and to this side, the side panel that you're seeing. I spent a couple of weeks repairing that as best I could because I'm not into woodworking and repairing woodwork, and I did the best I could. And I think I got it to a point where the cab could be assembled and it was stable. And I put it on a I put it in my arcade so that the damage panel was facing the not so public area of the arcade. So a lot of nostalgia for 2 games on this cabinet, both Burger Time and Karate Champ. Karate Champ, I dumped a lot of quarters in. I love that game. If this was a Karate Champ, I'd even be happier. Karate Champ skin cabinet, I'd be happier. But Burger Time, again, everybody knows how rare the Burger Time cabinet is. For me to find this new in box, I was amazed, and an hour away. So I was disappointed to find the damage, but it makes it a unique cabinet. So I'm happy it's in my arcade. So Burger Time's at number 3. Well, yeah, I kind of misnumbered these. So it's in my top 5. This one is not an arcade 1-up. This is a numbskull. And again, I have a lot of nostalgia for the game Dig Dug. But what stood out about this cabinet is the dedication to the detail of making it arcade accurate. This is the Dig Dug I remember standing at and pumping in so many quarters. Again, I'd spent so much money on this game that I was able to work myself in temporarily into the gaming magazine's high score list for this game. And so a lot of nostalgia. I love Numbskull. I want to get their Space Invaders so bad. I'm kind of hoping for a sale, but I don't think it'll happen because it's such a unique cabinet. But I'm a fan of theirs now, and I'll be watching what they do in the future. I'm kind of sad I missed out on some of their earlier products. But so this is in my top 5, probably top 3, because just in terms of the nostalgia hairs it raises on me. Pac-Man, number 2. Pac-Man, I spent a lot of quarters on. Never got good at it. I did at one time have a book to try and teach me the patterns of Pac-Man to try and get it down, but I'd have to do something similar because I suck at playing Pac-Man, but I just have a lot of nostalgia for the artwork, the cabinet, and the game. So that's why I didn't hesitate to pay full price for the XL at Costco. So it does have a damaged side panel, which Arcade 1-Up sent me a replacement. Thank you, Arcade 1-Up. I had to twist some arms to get them to send it to me because you know how they're cracking down on sending replacement parts. But I got them to do it. And yeah. So Pac-Man's at number 2. I love the game. I love the sounds. It's a game that everybody just has on their list, really. And then the number 1 cabinet, should be no surprise because I'm a big Star Wars fan, is the Star Wars cabinet. This is the original Arcade 1-Up cabinet. Now, I acquired this back when it was rare. Now they have the newer version of the Star Wars cabinet, which I'd love to have, but this is fine for me for now. But I picked this up on a not so standard vendor named Z-Bit, and they had found some, or either Arcade 1-Up had sent them an inventory, or they had found some. I don't know how. I do know it was shipped out of an Arcade 1-Up warehouse. So just looking at the shipping documentation, but I love the artwork on the cabinet. The marquee needs an upgrade from Joe Zabo, which I'll probably do. And I love the gameplay because it evokes a lot of nostalgia for me. So this game is my #1 nostalgia game. I love it. I might even do the Tulsa Arcade riser front panel LED upgrade on it just to make it pop a little bit more. But yeah, so that's my list. What could we talk about? I realize I went way longer than I intended to go. We're at 51 minutes already. We can touch on current deals. Right now, my Grail cabinet, if you will, is Big Buck Hunter. I'm waiting for Big Buck Hunter Deluxe to come down on a sale. That's the one game I'd like to add caddy corner to the T2 cabinet on the end of this middle aisle here. Because I think it'll fit there nicely. Fast and Furious would also fit there nicely. So depends on which one goes on deal first. If Fast and Furious hits a deal first, I might get the Fast and Furious. But if Big Buck Hunter goes on a deal, I'm scooping that up. I realize I don't have any fancy videos put together, like an intro and an outro, and I don't have a countdown timer. I just pretty much press the go live button and go. So I'm learning at this. It's kind of a fun experience. And hopefully the content that I put out in the future will be appreciated and looked at and liked. But I'm not, if people find my channel and start watching and joining me on these live excursions, great. But it's not something I'm chasing after. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to get free cabinets. Although if you want to send me a free cabinet, Arcade 1-Up, I won't turn it down. I'll give you a review as best as I can make one. I'm trying to take notes as I watch other podcasters. I'm trying to take notes as to what they do and how they go about doing their reviews, and trying to figure out how I could shape them and make them my own. I did an unboxing of that Dig Dug Numbskull quarter arcade, and I'd love to do an official review on it, scripted, so that there's not a lot of ahs and buts, and like you'll get with me through live. I'm a fan of this hobby. I love it. This whole area behind me was an exercise room, and I signed up for a gym, so I didn't need the exercise room. And that was at the time that Arcade 1-Up really came onto my radar when I saw the Tempest I went for the Pac-Man first, but I had a Pac-Man Legacy that I've sold since, but that was my first arcade one-up. And then I got the Tempest, and actually got those within 1 month of each other. So my arcade started, and it started in a room upstairs, and then I realized I needed space to grow, especially after last Christmas season when I picked up 7 cabinets. And so, yeah, now I have this space. I'm not looking to stay here in Wisconsin forever. So when it comes time for me to move, which is hopefully sooner rather than later, I'm hoping I can take every single last one of these things with me. So it's a fun hobby. I loved it. I love doing it. I love tinkering and changing things, and some things I'll leave alone because they're just great. I don't think I'll ever mod that Star Wars cabinet. That's for sure. Even though Buy Stuff has a good mod for it, I kind of want to leave it alone. And I think Fast and Furious, I think there's a mod coming for that as well. From what I understand, that's a fun cabinet. I don't have nostalgia for it, so I don't remember what the original game was like, but I know the game isn't 100% like it was in the arcade. But I'd probably keep that one stocked because, you know, if it's fun, it's fun. So anyways, I'm probably going to end it now. We're creeping up on 1 hour. Anyway, that's a good place to stop. I do appreciate everybody stopping by and watching my content. And if you did enjoy it, please just hit the like button for me, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I appreciate you following my journey. Stay tuned for the T2 stuff. I will get to it when I get to it. And hopefully I'll, even though I'm doing one final video of the entire mod process, I hope to post pictures and maybe shorts of my progress throughout. So stay tuned, and we'll get there. So thanks for joining. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I do plan on doing a show on Christmas Eve next Sunday. So let me know in the comments, you know, what topics you'd like me to cover, and I'll consider it. Have a great day.